All right, just finished up some maintenance on the 73 and just figured I'd share kind of my results and a few things that I had going on, and hopefully this helps some of you. So basically, when I drive the car around on summer days, say it was like 90 degrees, 85 degrees, with the air conditioning on, going down the road, temperature would climb to like 215, and then it normally stay right around 215. Sometimes it'd get up as high as like 220. Then when you come up to a stoplight, it'd come back down 210, just under 210, like 205, sometimes 200. But then as soon as you get going down the road, get up to like 215, 220, which is normally the opposite. Normally, when you're stopped is when the cars will get hot, and then going down the road, you get all that airflow through the front, they cool down. So this one was a little bit strange. I've definitely had this happen before, but not on any of my stuff. So it was a little bit strange to me. So one thing that I had going on that I figured I'd start with is I'll show you guys. I had an underdrive pulley on the water pump itself. So I had a pulley that was underdriving the water pump quite a bit. So I figured, why not swap that and see if any of my results change. I really didn't think that was going to be it, but it was literally a 5-minute swap. So I swapped that, tried it, exact same, honestly, no change at all. So then I started thinking about it a little bit more. I was like, well, this lower hose that's been on it is every bit of 20 to 30 years old. So I figured, well, I'll change the lower hose, the lower radiator hose. Show you guys. So I changed the lower radiator hose, thinking maybe when I'm going down the road, my old hose was really soft, it was sucking it closed. That would make sense because the lower one is the suction side. If it sucks that closed, you're going to restrict your cooling system. That can cause it to do exactly what it's doing. So I changed that, and when I changed that, actually, what I noticed is the top half of my radiator was pretty clean, but the lower half, I had a lot of corrosion inside the radiator. And it was a factory 3-core for an air conditioning car, and at least 2 of the cores in almost every lower cross section was pretty plugged up. So I went ahead and flushed it a lot, and I actually used some vinegar and let it soak for hours just in the radiator. Got down in there with a little wire brush, a pick set, cleaned it the best I could, flushed it again, blew it out, and that did help a little bit. But I'd say like 5 degrees. It would instead of going to like 220, it would just stay at like 215 to 210. Still wasn't the results I was looking for. So I knew at that point I'm either going to have that radiator rebuilt or replace the radiator. So for now, what I went ahead and did is just bought the kind of modern replacement. So it's like a 162 core plastic tank radiator. That's the modern replacement. It sucks. I don't like the plastic tanks, but I have the original over there in the box. So I'll probably get that rebuilt at some point or get another original at some point, just because it annoys me to have a plastic tank radiator in here. But it was cheap. I think it was like $125. So I put that in, and then I drove it around yesterday. It was 82 degrees out yesterday. I drove it around for an hour with the air conditioning on, and the hottest it ever got was roughly, I'd say, probably 200. Right around 195, 200. And it's a little bit hard because I'm judging this on my factory gauge, and the increments aren't the best, but right around 195, 200, and coming up to a stop, it would still actually creep down a little bit at a stop. I'd say at a stop, it'd run at like 190, 195, going down the road, 195, 200. So we definitely got a solid like 15 degree temp drop, if not 20 degree temp drop from what we were doing. So no doubt about it, our radiator was restricted, and this definitely helped us. So hopefully this helps you guys if you have something like this going on. The other thing I noticed is I could physically put my hand on the radiator, the old one, in different spots, and feel where it had a good amount of heat transfer and basically where it felt like it was plugged, no real heat transfer. So that was the other thing I noticed. What else was I going to say? There was something else. I do have these dual electric fans. Got the shop cat out here helping us. There was one more thing that I noticed in doing this project. The temps. Oh, I know exactly what it is. So these factory radiator supports, depending on what radiator size you had, the openings are cut out bigger or smaller. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you have the smaller opening, because it's really hard to see, but there's a stamping, and it's behind, I don't know if I can show you guys or not, but basically there's a stamping behind the condenser. And if you have the smaller radiator from the factory, it's blocked off about right here. If you had the larger one, it's actually cut back over here. So if you have the smaller opening, you're gonna see the stamping where it could be cut larger on both sides actually. So long story short, this core support isn't original. It isn't a factory core support. It's just not the original one to this car. And it is a core support that has the smaller opening. And I knew that, and I forgot all about that until I pulled the radiator out. So that's one thing. I'm gonna cut that open like it would have been from the factory, since this was the factory AC car. Literally when I was first putting this car together, every bit of 20 years ago, so I was literally like 12 years old, I had noticed that. And I told my dad, and we looked at his car, and his had the larger opening, and I was gonna cut it, and I completely spaced it. Fast forward 20 years, here we are. So I'm gonna cut that open, but I wanted to see a good true test with just swapping the radiator, not doing any other modifications, just to prove that our radiator did in fact do what I thought it was gonna do. And it did. It'll be perfectly fine the way it is, but I like the engine to run as cool as possible, so I will probably this winter go ahead and pull it out and cut that opening larger, like I said, like it would be from the factory. Because these cars, when they are like the RS, like this one is, you don't have a whole lot of area, especially when you have an AC condenser and all the RS stuff. It really blocks your airflow because you have part of the AC up here, you have the, let me think, receiver dryer up here. So there's just a lot of stuff in the way for your path of airflow, and that's definitely a factor here. But yeah, hopefully this helps you guys. If you have a car that is overheating when you're driving down the road but cooling off when you come up to a stop, there's two things that are going to come to my mind. Airflow, as far as what's going across, whether your fans or something blocking the airflow path, or coolant flow itself through the system. In our case, I really think we have a combination of both. The radiator was definitely plugged up or completely good now, but to make this even better, we could improve that path of airflow. So hopefully this helps you guys. Like I said, that's what I've been tinkering with. I've been messing with this for the last few days. Just kind of taking my time. Pretty much all the racing season stuff's over with. I've been tempted to get the Camaro out, but I kind of told myself I was going to take this year off. So we'll see. Still got a couple weeks left if I'm going to do anything. But I think that'll be it for tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep it saucy.